thank you very much, those of you who are joining today. Really good to see so many faces. So this seminar is going to be about the Validate Early Career Researcher Career Development Network, or that's a very long mouthful, so we call it the ECDN. And just for those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Sam Vermaak, and I'm the Validate Executive Manager and Co-Investigator based at University of Oxford, along with most of the Validate team. And today I'm going to take you through the ECDN. So we have a current call open. So to give you a bit more detail on what exactly the ECDN is, how it can benefit your career. And after I've gone through a few slides, it will be pretty quick. Then Dr. Luciana Balboa from Argentina has very kindly agreed to give a quick talk because she was a member of our first cohort of the ECDN. So she'll tell you a bit about her experience of it. So you don't just hear about it from me, you get some actual real experience from another member. And then obviously we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end that you can ask. So without further ado, we'll kick off. Okay, so hopefully as your Validate members, you know that Validate's got two aims. So our first aim is to accelerate vaccine development for our focused neglected pathogens. And so we cover three groups of intracellular pathogens that cause significant mortality and morbidity worldwide, but particularly in lower middle income countries. And these are, of course, the mycobacteria, which, as you know, cause TB, leprosy, Burey ulcer, and a couple of other things. The leishmaniases, which cause different varieties of leishmaniasis, and Burkholderia pseudomallei, which causes melioidosis. And none of these have effective vaccines to date. So we hope that by exploiting their synergies, similarities, and differences, and by creating an engaged and interactive Validate community where researchers collaborate and talk to each other and share information, we will therefore expedite and speed up vaccine development for each of the pathogens. And our second aim at Validate is actually to help our members progress their careers, particularly our early career researchers, but also acknowledging inequalities in career progression in our field. We're particularly interested in supporting lower middle income country members and members who identify as female or non-binary. And so this is where the ECDN comes in. So a few years ago, we pulled together an ECDN program. So the ECDN is a 2-year program to give career support to a subgroup of members and to accelerate their personal and hopefully career development. And it's aimed at Validate associate members or early PI investigator members who identify as female or non-binary. And you can be researching any of the Validate pathogens in this call. So in cohort 1, we had 13 members from 11 different countries across the globe, all the way from New Zealand, all the way across to the very far west coast of America. And that ran from February 22 to February this year. So they've just finished. And the current call is open for cohort 2 applications. So cohort 2 will run from July at our annual meeting this year through to June 2026. And the closing date is on 20th of May. I'll explain how you apply a bit later. So what is our ECDN program and what does it include? So the aim of the ECDN program is to create an engaged and connected network, a kind of sub-network of early career researchers in Validate, with the aim of then supporting and accelerating your careers. And we do this by running ECDN-specific events, mentoring, coaching, and networking. And I will go into a bit more detail on each of these aspects. So in terms of our ECDN events, we host one ECDN event per month. And these are usually virtual, and they're also, because we have so many time zones usually in the ECDN, they're recorded in case you can't join the event live. And they alternate each month between a training workshop and an inspiring careers seminar by role models. So it's acknowledged that women in science don't have enough role models that are visible, and that you can't become what you don't see, or it's a lot more difficult to. And so this is why we have the inspiring careers seminars to try and address this. And the Inspiring Careers seminars are essentially intimate talks by senior scientists, usually Validate members, but not always, about their career pathway rather than their research. So they do cover their research as well, but the main focus of their talks is their career pathway. So how they got to where they are, what they wish they'd known on the way, their tips and advice. And these talks offer a really good opportunity for the ECDN members to ask any questions that they have from these senior members who's been there before. And also a really good opportunity to network and connect with these senior women and raise your profile with them. So it is usually senior women, but we do have a couple of men also give talks. And so as I say, it's a really good networking opportunity to connect with these senior members and learn from their experience and their knowledge. So in terms of cohort one, just a couple of examples for you of the events we did, or a few examples. So for the Inspiring Careers seminars, we had talks by our two co-directors at Validate, so Professor Sam Sampson from Stellenbosch and Helen McShane at the University of Oxford. We had a couple of some academics, so Professor Valderes Dutra in Brazil and Associate Professor Marcela Haneo Tamayo in Colorado State in the US. And we also had talks by Dr. Anne Ginsberg, who is the Deputy Director of TB at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, about her career in a funder. And then also a talk by Professor Petro Blanche, who, as well as being an academic professor, actually is also CEO of one of our industry partners called Aptogen Biologics, based in South Africa. So they gave different viewpoints of careers as well. And then in terms of the training workshops, so some of the training workshops are in collaboration or open to other Validate members, such as the flow cytometry workshop and some of the scientific communications workshops we ran last year. But others, some of them are actually specific and only open to ECDN members. So some of the ECDN kind of private ones that we had included how to say no and manage your time better, because this is a challenge for many women in science, just to learn to say no to lots of different priorities. We had 12 ways to effectively take charge of your career. From an academic who actually studies the area in research, we had a talk on surprising strategies for becoming a leader, creating the life you want and succeeding at work based on science. And then we had goal setting workshops for all the members to be able to, at the start of 2023, set their goals for the year and work out how the steps towards making sure that they actually implement those goals, because the goal setting is the easier part, yeah, implementing it's the important bit. So these are just some examples, and we try to base them on the kind of topics that our ECDN members actually are looking for in terms of their training and their personal development as well. So another strand of the Validate ECDN program is our mentoring and accountability groups. So I know Luciana's on the call, and I think there might be a couple of other old ECDN people. So we did have separate mentoring and accountability groups in the last call, and it worked out a little bit too much. So I have learned from that and merged the two. So you have you're part of one subgroup in the ECDN. So you'll have a group of probably 3 or 4 people plus a mentor. So for those who don't know, a mentor is a senior, in this case, Validate scientist, who's agreed to guide and support you in your career progression using their experience and knowledge from their own career. And so you would meet virtually as your group, your accountability group, once every other month or so with your mentor for around an hour. Depends on the mentor, but it's usually around about that. And then the idea would be that you also meet with your group without your mentor every 1 to 2 months, offering peer support and the chance to learn from each other. So again, I know that many of the cohort 1 ECDN members found this very useful, because you're both gaining the chance again to network with a senior scientist and to get to know them better and learn from their experiences and ask them questions. But you're also getting to build relationships with and learn from your peer group as well, and get peer support. So, you know, they can empathize with the challenges you're going through. They may have solutions you haven't thought of because they went through the problem themselves. And also it just helps you feel you're not alone in this rather challenging career process, because lots of people feel like they're alone, and you're not. Your peers are also, you know, facing some of the challenges and having to overcome them too. So you can both empathize and support each other. So that's the second strand. And then the third strand of the Validate ECDN program is that we offer ECDN members one-to-one coaching with a coach. So for those who don't know, coaching is essentially a conversation with a coach, as I say, one-to-one, about an issue or challenge that you're facing and that you want support to tackle. And the idea is that the coach will, through the conversation and perhaps exercises, help you work out what the best solution is for you with your challenge. So a bit like a tennis coach helps you become the best tennis player that you can become, a coach or personal or business coach helps you become the best you that you can become. So the coaching is very much individual led. So the coachee, or the ECDN member as the coachee, would very much lead on how often they would want coaching. It could be every week, it could be every month, it could be when you have an issue you want to discuss. It's entirely up to you as to what you would find most helpful. Sessions are normally about an hour, but again, that's up to the coachee. And again, what you're discussing is entirely up to you with what you want support from. But examples of potential coaching goals can be things like working out what you want from life, help with career planning, improving your self-confidence, working on a better work-life balance, wanting to become more healthy, overcoming something specific, like a fear of giving presentations or wanting to improve your presentation skills, dealing better with difficult conversations, taking on a new personal or work challenge and how you can do that most effectively, perhaps something like confronting a fear of failure or overcoming imposter syndrome, or just generally working towards your dreams and goals. How, what are your goals? What are your dreams? How do you work towards those? Or indeed anything else that you just want some support with dealing more successfully. And so coaching can be a really positive and uplifting way to break through obstacles and to get to where you want to be. So full disclosure, I'm the Validate ECDN coach. So I'm a trained business and personal coach outside of Validate, and I've been coaching staff at Oxford University for the last 6 years, as well as coaching the ECDN cohort 1. So I've got lots of experience coaching academics and people working in science. And I've also worked in academic related roles at Oxford University since 2008. So I really understand the particular challenges that people face working in research and working in academia. So I hope that that also gives a bit of additional support rather than having to explain to an external coach about the particular challenges in academia and research. And the other benefit of having me as your coach is that I think the old ECDN members found it quite useful to have a chance to question me about upcoming Validate calls and opportunities on a one-to-one to get more tips. So I think that was very helpful as well. But obviously, if you have, you feel that you don't want to talk to me or that it would be too much of a conflict of interest, for example, if University of Oxford staff, absolutely, we could find you somebody else. If you want to connect with me, awesome. So hopefully they're a fun session as well. That's really helpful. And then the final strand of the ECDN program is that the ECDN gives you the opportunity to more easily network and connect with other researchers. And of course, these researchers could be future collaborators, they could be just contacts, they could be people who will, be examiners for your PhD students, theses, potential mentors in the future. So the way that the ECDN helps you network is obviously it helps you network with the other ECDN members at the ECDN events. They're normally virtual, as I say, so quite often we log on 5 or 6 minutes ahead and have an informal chat before we start. So that helps you start chatting to all the other ECDN members. And of course, you'll get more closer relationships with the people in your accountability group. And in fact, actually, I should have said, some of the accountability group members from the first cohort now are planning collaborations and they actually see each other. They now consider themselves friends. So it's a really nice way to get to know some other female researchers or non-binary researchers more personally. And then we also have Slack channels. So Slack is like a professional WhatsApp or Facebook, if you haven't heard of it. And we set up a private group for the ECDN members where you can all easily chat to each other, ask questions, look for ideas or advice, and generally support each other. Quite often members used it as well to kind of say, oh, I'm going to this conference, is anyone else going? I'll see you there, and agreeing to meet up. And then I also post an article each week on the Slack channel on a topic for personal or career development. So it might be something I've spotted on leadership or on building your confidence or presenting better or whatever I think will be useful for you. So those are there as well if you would find that useful. Then, of course, as I said, you get to network with your mentor and then also with the inspiring career talk role models. We do offer travel support to join the 2024 Validate annual meeting, which is in July in Thailand. So Validate will cover the travel and subsistence costs for any ECDN member to join. So you can join in person. And this annual meeting, we've got almost 100 delegates already signed up. So you would be able to obviously network with them, see their posters, hear their research talks. So it's a great opportunity, again, to connect more closely with other Validate members and Validate with paid free travel. And then, of course, there are just additional networking opportunities that come up as we go through the 2-year program and as they arise. So, for example, the first cohort members got invited to the 2022 Global Forum for TB by the Gates Foundation with all their travel paid for, because Gates were really interested in our ECDN program, and I've talked to them about it. And you're also, as I said, more closely connected with our Validate team via me and via Blakely, who's often listening in on and recording the calls for us. So again, ECDN members are kind of front of mind with our team in terms of when we're looking for potential speakers or for seminar people, and also things like when we have our closed workshops, I'll know your research area if I've coached you, so I can go, oh yeah, this person is relevant, they should be included. So it can just be really useful in that sense as well. And I should say at this point, thank you very much to Blakely, who always organises and coordinates all these meetings and records them. So thanks, Blakely. Okay, so how do you apply for the ECDN if it sounds like an opportunity for you? So you just go to our Validate website and find under the CPD tab, you'll find there's the ECR Career Development Network section and menu option, and you can find the form and information on there. It's a really short form. Basically, we're looking for your career to date, your career plans for what you want to do in the future, and then how you think the ECDN will benefit you. And then we also ask about any challenges or training opportunities that you might be interested in, again, just to help guide me on what I might put forwards for the programme. And so the deadline, as I said, is 4 p.m. British summertime on the 20th of May. And the review will happen shortly after this deadline, should by the end of May, early June, because we realise we need to then move quickly to get travel sorted out for the annual meeting. So that's my last slide. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what our ECDN programme is and what it entails, because we do expect ECDN members to engage fully with the programme and each other once you sign up and are approved as a member, because it is for your benefit and the benefit of the other members in the network. So that's enough of me talking. Let me stop sharing my screen. Hopefully that's answered some questions. Sorry, just seen Blakely's comment, listening in, but not if way. Thank you, Blakely. As you see, the ECDN is fairly informal, so this is a bit more like what the ECDN meetings are like. We've ended up friends, a lot of us. Okay, so I'm going to call on Luciana. And Luciana, I'm really sorry. Which institute are you at now? Because I know you were at Conistet, but you've just moved.
Hi, yes. Hi, everybody. Right now, I am at the Institute of Biomedical Research, which belongs to CONICET and to the University of Buenos Aires.
Thank you.
So
yes,
recently moved.
Yeah, so Luciana was in our first ECDN. So Luciana, go for it and tell everyone what you thought of the programme.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sam. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to share with you the profound positive impact that this program has had on my career over this past 2 years. So I'm going to share my screen. It will be really very brief, my presentation. So don't worry. Should I screen? I guess. I hope you can see it.
Yep, we can see it, but it's not in presenter mode. Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. So I would like to start just by providing you some context. As some say, I work as a biomedical researcher in Buenos Aires. So for those not familiar with the current situation in Argentina, our country is struggling with challenging socioeconomic issues, particularly since the new government took office. The national system and technology, the national, science and technology system has been undergoing dismantlement. And we are living in a country with an annual 300% annual inflation. And of course, this problem didn't arise suddenly in December last year. We had been in crisis situation for several years. And as you can imagine, it has been quite challenging for an early career researcher like myself to establish a new research group under such adverse circumstances. So moreover, in Latin America, opportunities to develop soft skills such as leadership, communication, planning, and goal setting are limited. And that's why it was so important for me to get involved in this program. And that's why I found it so productive and so useful for me in my case. So I would like just to share with you kind of a summary of some outcomes that I think that this program assist me to get them or help me with. And I try to organize the outcomes in 3 different skills that I think that this program really helped me. it helped me in several ways, but I try to organize them in three major skills. First, it really helped me develop my strategic thinking and smart planning. Particularly, it helped me facilitating my decision and plan to move to a better funding institute. As Sam mentioned before, I recently moved to a new institute, but it was a big decision for me. And of course, I had to decide how and when to do the decision, and particularly under this context that I mentioned it was so difficult. Also, it helped me a lot on my self-confidence and networking. You can easily see and realize that English is not my mother tongue, and I always saw English as a barrier for engaging with others in English. And so for me, it was very, very important, the coaching sessions, and also the possibility to participate in seminars and meetings abroad, of course, all of them in English, to try to really break that issue that I have, and to get in and to engage with others, and to try to practice my English, and to take advantage of these opportunities, because this community is of course it has a lot of senior and early career researchers, all of them working in topics that are related to the ones that we are working on. So of course, these are unique opportunities for us, that we cannot lose them, so that we had to be prepared to communicate with them and to start networks and collaborations. So in this regards, coaching sessions, seminars, and the meetings were great. And also, I think this program helped me a lot to incorporate specific tools, and I would like to highlight particularly the techniques associated to grant writings, because this kind of skills, I have never been exposed to this kind of trainings, and for me it was very, very important. And we learned different kind of how to improve our presentations, and also how to perform persuasive writings, and different techniques such as storytelling, and different ways to improve grant writings. And I deliberately during the last year tried to implement those techniques in my grant applications, and I applied to a national and to an international grant application, and I was awarded both of them. And in the case of the international grant, it was the first time I was awarded an international grant, and I think that applying this tool has a lot to do. So I think that these were really important outcomes, that and that the program assists me a lot with achieving them. And I think, and also thanks to all these accomplishments, I was also promoted to the independent category of the CONICET Researcher's Career. CONICET is our national council for science and technology in Argentina. As I said, we are living in a very problematic context, that and this promotion it was acknowledged by the government, but our salary will not be increased due to budget constraints. So we have to take into consideration that this program is great, but cannot work miracles. And something that I also would like to emphasize is that you really don't have to work in a country in crisis like me to take advantage of this program, because the fact of being an early career researcher really put us in a kind of vulnerable situation, because we have to respond to multiple tensions at the same time. So we are starting our own group, writing grants at the same time, doing bench work, supervising students, and at the same time we are in a moment in our life in which maybe we are mothers with young children. So it's a very particular moment, full of tensions. So I think that this program is very, very useful, even if you are not in such a messy context as the ones that I'm facing. So definitely, I really, based on my personal experience, I really recommend you to apply. And I think you will get a very, very positive outcome from it. And finally, I leave you my contact in case you want to ask me any additional question about my experience or anything you may need. I'm completely available. So I don't know if you have any question or anything you may need right now. I'm of course available too.
Thank you, Luciana. That's fantastic. I'm, as always, delighted that, as I did admit to my ECDN members, I've become very attached to them all. So I'm always rooting for them. So it's so lovely to hear of all these positive things that Luciana has managed. And I will say it's because she engaged so well in the network and took advantage of all the opportunities that, you know, the work's on her side. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit more of an idea about the ECDN. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask me or ask Luciana? Always a pause while we wait for the first brave person.
Agnes asked one in the chat just above my comment.
This one not scrolling down now. Oh, what are accountability groups in Slack? So hopefully I explained that. So Slack is it's kind of like a professional WhatsApp or a professional, so it's not a social media. But what's nice is it has threads. So rather than WhatsApp, where you end up, I find personally, with a massive stream of conversations where if more than one person is inputting, it ends up the conversation is miles long and you can't find the beginning of it. It groups it into threads, a bit more like Facebook. So you can kind of have people commenting on the different things. So say I post an article on a topic, someone can say, oh, I found this really helpful in this one as well. Or someone says, I'm going to this conference, is anyone else? It will then group all the responses saying, oh yeah, me too, let's meet up. Yeah. So it's another social media, which I know fills some people's heart with dread. We don't overdo it on that because we know lots of people have different information streams and we're all very overwhelmed as it is, but it is a useful place for the for peer support and for the group to kind of get to know each other and to bond a bit. And as I say, for me to post stuff to you. And I'll also, use it to announce things like the upcoming talks, and if we have validate calls, I quite often post them on there as another way for you to hear about them. So it's used for that. And then accountability groups are from so I've always wanted to start my own business, and a lot of business places, if you do that for entrepreneurs, they'll have accountability groups where you meet with other entrepreneurs who are in the same position as you, and you use each other to set goals and then stick to them, and the other members of your group will be, holding you accountable for those goals, hence the name. So I took that idea and used it as part of the ECDN. So it's a small subgroup of the ECDN. So I would put you into an accountability group with 3 or 4 other people from the ECDN, and I'll try and mix you up. If you know people in the ECDN, you hopefully won't be with them. It is a bit of a challenge, though, I'm going to say ahead of time, because there's so many different time zones. So do bear with me on that and try and make it work, because I will put you into the groups that try and make it the time zones work for you. But basically, the accountability group is a small subgroup of ECDN members that you'll be a part of, and you arrange yourselves to meet probably once a month. Most of our groups did. And basically go around your group saying what your goals are or what your challenges are, and have support from the other members to either hold you accountable to your goals and check up on you and make sure you're doing them if that's what you feel you need to move forwards, or to empathize if you're going through a challenge and help you brainstorm solutions, or maybe they've come across it before and can give you help you with a solution. For example, if you can't find reagents, maybe they know a supplier. It's that kind of a subgroup. So it's just a way for you to connect so we connect at the ECDN level, and then you have within that the subgroups of the accountability groups who connect even more closely with each other through the 2-year program. And so you're in the same accountability group for 2 years, so you really get to know each other and to be able to support each other and empathize and, as I say, ask for advice or give advice or whatever you find useful, basically. So it's very much up to each accountability group to run themselves and operate as works best for your members. Okay, how do I join a mentorship group? So again, if you're in the ECDN, I assign you to the mentoring and the accountability group with your mentor. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Essentially, at the kickoff meeting, which will happen at the Validate annual meeting, there is an extra meeting for ECDN members, which is our kickoff meeting. I apologize to those of you on the call who I know are already going to be ECDN members that it's on the Sunday night. It is literally the only time I could squeeze in a 2-hour meeting in the whole 5 days. Because I have to run all the other events with Blakely and the rest of the team. So I apologize, it's Sunday night, but it means we can all meet each other in person. Some people will be virtual who unfortunately can't make it, but mostly will be in person. I'll get to go through, a lot of you have now heard mostly what I'll say, but I will also introduce you to your mentoring and accountability group. And you then will get together and kind of have your first meeting. And then that way as well, the ECDN have all met each other. You all know each other ahead of the main meeting, so you can hang out at lunchtime, or you have somebody to hang out with at the annual meeting, because annual meetings are a bit intimidating if you don't know anybody. So hopefully that will help you then. Yeah, so I'll assign you your mentor. And then once you join the ECDN, do you have to renew membership each year? No. So the ECDN is a 2-year program. So the scheme will run the whole 2 years. You will be part of it for the whole 2 years. And then if we do another one similar to this one, you probably could join the next call if you wanted. So we do have, I think, 2 cohort 1 group members who are joining this ECDN again, which shows you hopefully that they found it useful. Oh, and Blakely has posted a general intro to Slack. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's all the chat questions. Did anyone have any other questions or any follow-up questions from what I've said? Or any questions for Luciana?
Hi.
Hello, go for it.
Well, it was really nice to hear from you and also from Luciana. So I was wondering, because you mentioned that there is going to be this like inspiring session from very senior researcher.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would also be nice to have maybe the opportunity to meet the first cohort and learn from them, from also their experience? Because I might imagine that they might face the same challenges that we're also experiencing right now, and maybe the senior researcher, I mean, they have their experience, but it might be also some decades of difference. So
Yes, that is true. So you're right that sometimes senior researchers are a bit too far down the path and times are very different to now. So yes, you could absolutely meet the first cohort. In fact, most of them I think are coming to the annual meeting because we're also paying for their travel. So you'll be able to meet a lot of them then. And I was actually planning, but I have to ask them first. So I haven't actually got their permission yet, but I was going to ask them if they could drop by the ECDN kickoff meeting to meet the members, as you say, to give you all another 13 people to connect closely with. So yes, that is the plan. But you're ahead of me because I haven't actually asked them yet. So I need to do this on my to-do list.
And I'm open for meetings, so you can contact me. As part of the first cohort.
Yes, exactly. So Luciana will be at the annual meeting. So yeah, Luciana, it's Sunday night, sorry. Anna Maria, do you want to ask? Okay. Oh, thumbs up, sorry, yeah, that's me being daft. Anyone got any other questions?
Okay. Just perhaps how many?
How many people? So
yes.
Yeah, so thank you. So we opened the call for an initial opening. And so we have, you're putting me on the spot, but I think it's 11 people already agreed. So we definitely have 11 members, and that's enough people to run the ECDN. So we will definitely run it, but I would like a few more people, which is why we've then reopened it. So if we can get a few more people, but we can have, I would like nearer 20 would be a nice number, because that's just it gives me easier time in terms of trying to match people in similar time zones, but also it just means there's a nice size group for people to meet each other.
Yep, that would be great. I think I'm very far in the time zone. So
yes, so I have to say, last year, I don't think she'll mind me saying, Naomi Daniels, who's based in New Zealand, was the winner for most committed person because she showed up to our meetings because I had to schedule them for obviously for the most people to be able to attend. And so she was joining meetings at 3 a.m. and I was so impressed. So she got a shout out every time. It's like, this is insane. I can't believe you're here live. And from the hospital when her child was ill and stuff. So it's not like that's like extreme commitment. So as I say, I do try and schedule it so the meetings are so as many people can see them as possible. But I do realize that on the extremities, that means that a lot of the meetings are a bit difficult. And I do try and move them around, but the problem is then there's some time zones where it would just mean that 90% of people would be able to join, so it won't work. It's a bit embarrassing if I have a talk where it's just me, the person, you know, the speaker and the one other person. So I try not to schedule them in those time zones. So yes, I appreciate in the very far east or very far west, it's not ideal. But as I say, they are, I would encourage you to join where possible, perhaps not at 3 a.m. But we do record them as well, you know, so that people who, you all have other commitments so that you can still at least hear the talk.
Cool. Good. Thank you.
Anyone got any other questions? Okay. Well, you have my email address. It's basically, you can find me on the Validate website. If you've got any follow-up questions, just drop me an email. And Luciana has kindly shared hers. She's also in the members directory. If you didn't write it down, so again, you can contact her, find her email address there. And in that case, I will draw this meeting to a close. But I hope that many of you found this useful and you think this will be, the ECDN will be a useful thing to join and that we get your applications soon. Okay, have a very good rest of your day, everybody. You're welcome.
Thank you, Sam.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.